Welcome to Friday night. It is Federation Friday, episode 21. Return of the, how do you say it? Archons?
Archons.
Archons?
Archons.
Yeah.
We were going to talk about Section 31, but I think there was a little bit of difficulty in getting through it. I don't know. Is it just time ran out for you guys, or just dedicating it to be able to sit down and really study?
So I don't think it'll be a casual watch. I think you're going to have to pay attention to a lot in there. So to me, it was kind of both time and focus.
Okay.
I'll give the devil his due.
Because I did watch it, and when I finished, I said to myself,
"What the hell is even that?"
"Oh,
You watched the wrong one. You should have been watching Section 32.
right. That's
It's one more better. So
it's one, yeah. See, the thing, I mean, I guess you guys know the premise of it, and according to the star date, it's like 1293.4.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that before they're back in the prequel age?
yeah, so it's set during the time frame of Strange New Worlds. She got left behind when Discovery went into the future.
So now, excuse me, I gotta say, I didn't watch the original. What is it? Discovery, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they went, it was back in time, and then they went forwards in time. And did they go back in time again?
No, it was set originally during Pike's time commanding the Enterprise. Discovery started in that time frame. It then jumped to, I think, the 31st century, and it stayed there. So it wasn't back and forth. It was just kind of a jump forward, and then they pretty much stayed there.
But now, so how is she back in time?
She didn't go into the future with them. When Discovery went to the future to hide the data that the Control was looking for, she was one of the people who stayed behind on the Enterprise.
Okay, all right. Because I thought Section 31 was a future group that only went back in time to fix the timeline, kind of like the TVA.
No, Section 31 was around during the time of Enterprise. They showed up. So
Right, but didn't they come from the future to fix stuff?
no, that was Daniels, the temporal agent. Different organization from the future.
This is like math.
Not to be confused with Starfleet's Department of Temporal Investigations that showed up on DS9 when
Right, William Sadler's character.
no, William Sadler was Section 31. Remember when they did the
Right,
trouble?
did he come back from the future to fix that, or
No, he was contemporary.
What the hell is even that?
So had I known we were going to have this discussion, I would have a Doc Brown style whiteboard, chalkboard where I could draw it all out. But yes, so William Sadler was present day. The two guys who investigated Cisco for sending the Defiant back in time to the original Enterprise was modern day. Giorgio was in the past, and Discovery went into the future. Now, you have to have a pitcher on this team. What's his name?
I don't know.
Yeah. So this is one thing at least Star Wars doesn't have to worry about too much.
Yet.
But yes.
Because isn't the world between worlds a way to time travel?
No.
No, well, then what is the world between worlds? Purgatory?
It's the place where you can go and observe.
Where everyone knows your name?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, although Ezra did pull Ahsoka out of the fight with Darth Vader, but she went right back through the same portal, if you want to call it, portal door, whatever. But yeah, it's not to be used as a time travel type of thing.
Or a plot device. So, which is pretty good.
It's not yet.
Yeah. Not yet. Now, could Section
Eventually
31
it may be.
It may be. It may be a way to cross these two franchises over at some point. I don't know. But yeah, could I see Section 31 using time travel? Sure. Who the hell would know but Section 31? And then even still, you go back to that old trope. Oh, you're from a future that would change? Sure, you were. Oh, you prevented the Mirror Empire from happening? Sure. All these guys with all these great commendations because they're just making it up, saying they went back in time and prevented stuff.
All right. I'm so lost. It's not even.
Like I said backstage, it wasn't what I was hoping it was going to be. And I love Michelle Yeoh. I'd watch her in anything, but this was not it.
Because didn't they sell it as a Mission Impossible type
Mission
thing?
Impossible, Ocean's 11 type caper film. Ragtag group coming together.
Yeah, for me, it came off as a very campy, not very well done Galaxy of the Guardians.
All right, so let's get back to Good Trek. What do you say?
Yeah.
This week's episode is number 21, and it is the return of the people from Ohio.
And we're back in Mayberry.
Is this Mayberry?
Yes, some of these scenes were on the lot that was Mayberry.
And that was in episode Miri, right?
It was in Miri, that's right.
Okay, see, yeah, I can remember things. So we start off with a chase scene when once again Sulu is in trouble, running for his life, correct?
Yes, Sulu and his partner. First, we don't know what's going on. Have to say, pretty good cold open. I actually like this cold open. They're in street clothes. What the hell's happening?
And then the giant
Jedi
Jawas.
show up. I was going to say Jedi.
I called them the giant Jawas. They show up. And this is the
costuming.
This is the Jawa from the sales scene in the original Star Wars. That's almost as tall as C-3PO.
The Jawa with a thyroid issue.
They mutated and evolved.
Ooh, GG.
Houdini.
Literally in that pose, he looks like he's going to yell, "Hey, you kids, get off my lawn." So this scene is one of the scenes that I have a problem with here. They're dressed in native clothes. Clearly, the level of technology would be far below industrial warp world. So what do? We call for an emergency beam out in the middle of the street in front of a civilization that shouldn't be seeing it.
I don't think they care anymore.
Well, I don't think they've established the rules quite yet. Because later we're shooting everybody with our ray gun.
Yeah, and handing it over, and
Yeah.
And then, as you can see, Sulu is he matches the furniture inside the building. And he gets a smile on his face and beams back toward the Enterprise.
So, yeah, he gets touched by that giant rod, and suddenly he's got a smile on from ear to ear. Left without comment.
Hold on.
Okay.
I got the wrong soundboard up. Here we go. And they start mentioning Landru. And Landru is probably he's the mysterious character throughout the whole episode. Now, is Landru a fruit?
In what sense?
Landru, they're the sweet. It's like a commercial. They're the sweetest.
Tell your doctor you need Landru.
The friendliest people in the universe. Now, the return of the Archons. I guess that's a clue as to what's happening during the episode, because they believe that, I guess, the Enterprise crew are the Archons.
Mm-hmm.
Or descended from them, because I think at some point in the episode, one of the three people in the Resistance say, they came a long time ago, but they said more would follow. Only took 100 years, but yeah. And I think the friendliest people in the universe would have been a better alternate title for this.
We have the crew beaming down in, I don't know, they look, it's that kind of reminds me of Blazing Saddles attire.
Or they robbed the costume shed of the Wild Wild West. Except Spock, who's doing his Dark Jedi. He's doing his Sith Lord.
That doesn't even look like him.
Partially done to save money on the makeup. They didn't have to do his ears. And yeah, and beam down broad daylight, middle of the street.
So they're wandering the street, and they notice everybody is the friendliest people in the universe. And this guy here mentions the festival. And how did you guys first? This is the first time I've watched this episode. So when you saw it, do you remember like, oh, what is festival? Or were you wondering, were you thinking it's a party?
Well, being from Long Island, you hear festival, you're thinking cheap amusement rides, fried zeppeli, and that game where you shoot the clown's mouth with the water gun and the balloon pops.
Yeah.
Your churches would have local festivals. So yeah, definitely a party.
So it's almost red hour, which is 6 o'clock, right? 6 p.m.
I just took it as it meant it was time for the Rachel Maddow show. And everyone just like walks around like they're hypnotic. Very creepy vibe.
Yeah, this was kind of freaky. Couldn't quite place why. Yeah, they were walking around like this, and then this guy tells them they just arrived, and all of a sudden the clock strikes 6, and it turns into the Purge.
See, I didn't understand this at all, because throughout the whole episode they're talking about, it's peaceful, it's, everybody's nice. So what's the purpose of this, where it goes from 6 p.m. at night till 6 a.m. in the morning? What's the purpose?
So I gave this a lot of thought. So first of all, there's no kind of description of how often this festival happens. Is it once a year? Is it once a month? It almost to me seems like either a reward or a release for them having like no other emotional outlet except the goofy smiles and wishing peace and love on everybody. It's almost like they have to do it to release the other part of their psyches.
Right. And I'm like you say, is it, it's not every day, because there's a lot of crap to clean up.
Yeah. Broken windows, fires, and sinisterly, the more you get into the episode, maybe Landru is controlling the population as well. Maybe this is like their only time, for lack of a better word, to breed.
Yeah, okay. All right. So he keeps everybody under control and gives them that once every year purge that they go through to.
Yeah, I hate to say reward because it's horrible, but like I said, almost a release from their control. Now, just as a side note, my good friend, and John knows, our friend Chris, mutual friend Chris, some nights we would be out and just hanging out someplace, or at the mall, or especially Best Buy. He loved to do this, where he would just shout out "festival" in the middle of the store, and I would come running from wherever I was and start yelling, "You're not of the body!" and start pointing. And we would just get looks, but it just was to entertain ourselves. Occasionally we'd get somebody who would go, yeah, I know. But yeah.
So that's another thing. When they say you're not of the body, what is that? What do you think that? What does that mean? It's like you're not. And I guess when you get along towards the end, not to spoil it or anything, but does everybody get hooked up to that machine?
I think it means you're just not under Landru's control. I almost said Martin Landau's control. Landru. Oh, the great scene in here where one of the guys gets hit square in the skull with one of the foam rocks and just keeps on running. It literally bounces off his head and he just keeps on running.
Nearly a flesh wound.
Thank God the gravity's different on this planet.
So they escape the street, and is this like a hotel or just a house that they break into?
It seemed to be almost like a boarding house, but again, if Landru's controlling everything, is there a need for money or anything like that? Like, everybody's sole purpose is to serve Landru, so I think, if I remember correctly, he could offer them shelter for after the festival, he was thinking. This guy was good in the part, too. I think the performances throughout the episode were all pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah. He's one of the three, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rhaegar. Which every time I heard the name mentioned, I could only hear Danny DeVito saying it. Rhaegar.
So now apparently there are people in the valley.
So
is that?
I guess it's just their way of kind of solidifying the fact that this is a primitive culture and there's enough distances between areas that there might be differences.
So when people come from the valley, does Landru take over? Does he make them one with the body?
Well, I think Landru's controlling the whole planet. I think they just don't know if Landru is doing anything different in the valley than they're doing up here. Because it seems like these people don't do a lot of traveling between areas. And
now,
that's probably the way
think,
Landru wants it.
Do you think these people know that they're being controlled by Landru, or is he just? Do they just look to him? Or
I think they know. These guys are in a mini resistance. You know, there's a cell of 3, which we later meet the third person. It's the 2 gentlemen on the left here, and then later on we see in Landru's caverns the third person comes forward. So there's definitely awareness, especially the older people, except this jackass, who's just got super blind devotion to Landru.
and we learn that this Rhaegar is immune to the, I don't know, what do you call it? The quickening or whatever it is that Landru does.
Yeah, I think he's immune to it now.
Yeah, because he's probably older. It seemed to me like people over the age of 45 or 50, Landru had no use for to control. Notice everybody was going crazy out there was young, which, when you think about it, if you are controlling the population, the younger people are the one you want bearing the replacements. Look how wistfully he wants to be out there at festival. He just wants to be out there running around, drinking, grabbing women.
Here I am thinking to myself, this can't go on every night.
Yeah, when I, every time I've seen this episode up till like recently, I thought it was a regular occurrence, but it can't go on. Even with Landru's control, this is massive amount of damage and infrastructure issues that couldn't be maintained in 24 hours.
Right.
Maybe it's like a once a month or once every 6 months. It has to be frequent enough that they have to have shelter for people for more than just once a year.
And Mayberry will never be the same.
Because they failed to nip it in the bud.
Now, there's no weapons here, right? Was there any gunfire or?
No, it was all chasing and hitting and punching and
They were using
on
like
that building.
sticks and that.
Sticks. Yep.
Rocks.
Oh, there's Mr. Leslie. What a great line. You and I got to do some serious thinking.
So we have Kirk sleeping, standing up. And it looks like two dead bodies on the bunk beds.
Well, to be fair, with the time zone differences beaming down, your clock gets all screwed up.
And I love this camera angle.
Yeah.
It really shows a lot of what's actually happening.
And considering we're looking at the same street through multiple shots here, it does give it a sense of scope. So I think the cinematographer did a nice job trying to convey more with less. And here's poor Rhaega's daughter coming home.
So is he feigning I guess he's feigning the Landru's will stuff, right? For this guy on the, or was that the other partner?
That's the
No.
other partner. I think they're trying to just put up a good front because they don't know who these guys are yet. So they're still thinking they're from the valley. So if they slip up, how do they know these guys aren't going to go run to the lawgivers? And see, now the light bulb goes off.
And Archons are the original people that came to the planet, or the original people that lived there?
No, that was a ship that was lost, was the USS Archon, or the SS Archon. So they're just referring to the Archons as the people who originally landed there.
Okay, so okay.
And here comes Mr. Weasel.
And then these guys reminded me of, without the fancy, sparkly outfit, the Lurch guy from, what was that? What was that episode with Lurch?
What little girls are made of?
Yeah, yeah.
And Roman candle time.
So what does that do? What do you think that does? I mean, does it have powers, or is it, because later on it just says a hollow, they just mention it's just a hollow tube.
To me, it's definitely a weapon of some sort. It may look like a hollow tube, but who knows what kind of technology is built into there. I almost pictured as Landru is transmitting his power through these guys, and they're using these hollow tubes as kind of a way to point where to direct the energy coming from Landru.
Okay, because
he's over here. Yeah.
yeah, Landru doesn't seem that gentle.
Yeah.
So Kirk is standing up to them, and they like really confused, I guess, because they haven't been programmed with that yet.
They haven't encountered it, probably. You know, these people just seem to go along with everything, and Landru's been in control, we find out, for a couple of 1,000 years. So when was the last time they had anybody backtalk them? Because immediately the lawgivers are like, oh, you misunderstood what I was saying. Let me rephrase that. Which I thought was kind of an odd response until you think about it. When was the last time they had that sort of interaction?
Right. So they're going to the absorption chamber. And Kirk is still being Kirk, and he's like, yeah, we'll come down when we get a chance.
Tell your God to F off. Okay? So I forgot, did Spock just grab that hollow tube from the lawgiver, or?
Where are they taking? Are they taking him to the absorption chambers now, or are they just wander in the street?
No, I believe yeah, they're wandering the street now.
And here's the cleanup crew.
And again, very atmospheric, very creepy. The way everybody stops and in unison all go down to pick something up to beat these guys up.
Right, this is where they grab the sticks and the branches and become an angry mob.
It's the will of Landru.
And then we see the stun on wide setting.
And they keep on coming. So then they find their missing man. Oh, and they're going to their safe house. That's what it was.
Safe castle. This is the little known the little scene set from Mayberry.
Opie's dungeon. So then they find this anarchistic light panel that Spock says this is from an advanced civilization.
Now, 6,000 years ago, that translates our time for 4,000 BC.
So from where we are now, yeah, ancient Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, like old school.
So in
Greece, ancient Greece.
So Trek takes place in what, 2300s, give or
Yeah.
take.
Mhm.
So, I mean, this is an otherworldly. This isn't something that's like where would the Archons have come from? Is there a mention of their civilization later on?
Oh, I took it that the Archons, I mean, the Federation knew that they were out there. I'm taking that was a Federation or pre-Federation ship. What this light panel is at first I thought it might have come from the Archons, but I think this is from the civilization that Landru was trying to save before everything went backwards. So I think the inhabitants did have an advanced civilization, and they clearly did. They built Landru. And I think over time, the easiest way to control them was by kind of primatizing them. Yeah, there's a lot of things working at different levels in this episode.
Right, that's what makes it pretty interesting as far as a story, because you have a civilization that's 6,000 or somebody there is technology that's 6,000 years old, but they're all living in the, what would you say, 1800s, 1900s?
Roughly, yeah.
Early 1900s.
Well, they had gas lamps, so yeah, I'd say the 1900s.
And I don't see I don't see the writers of current Trek doing stuff like this. Do you think they would ever come up with where they go down to a planet and it's actually an advanced civilization that lives in the 1800s? That's
no, they did do it on the Orville though.
Well, that is more Star Trek than
modern day Trek, yes.
And Star Trek. Yeah.
Because now it would be hands off. If this is the way these people want to live, we shouldn't interfere. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, so Landru is like totally plugged in, and basically everybody he's got in control is reporting back to him. So he's got eyes and ears everywhere.
Would you say that Landru is mentally attached, or like he says, when he regains consciousness, Landru will find them through him? So they're connected on a subconscious level, like a network.
That's it. To me, that's exactly what it is. And if you look at the beginning scene with Sulu, he gets touched by the big rod, almost like an assimilation. So whether there's a technological component or some kind of energy component, it's almost like something is transferred and the control is established.
So if he's able to do that through the sticks, why does he need this room with this dude in the telephone booth?
Maybe when it goes bad, it might not be a perfect process. Or in the cases of like Rhaegar and the other guy, that might be the only way to correct it if they want to put them back under control again. So now what is this, Lindstrom waking up?
Mm-hmm.
So then we give him a shot to keep him asleep. So he doesn't wake up, correct?
Right.
So now we get all the backstory about the Archons and what happened.
So how long do you think these people live if he was there when the first Archons arrived? Or is this, I mean, would it be just a story that they're passing down to the, do you think when they reach a certain age, like you said, like they're the younglings, the young ones are the ones that are under control. So do they, when they hit a certain age, does it break free? Do they snap out of it?
That, to me, that would seem a logical way of doing it. And the story of the Archons gets passed down from elders to elders.
So the Archons were the original resistors.
Yep. So now we know they can take down a starship, which would mean that technology was there before the Archons got there. So this is or at least Landru is a technologically advanced being from a technologically advanced civilization. And just on cue, we're under attack.
So he's sending up heat beams to do what? What are they? Is it pulling them down? Is it shutting off systems?
Just making it a little warm. Yeah, getting a little uncomfortable.
You open the air fryer.
Yeah, the heat beams. Well, in space it's very cold, so maybe this was a welcome. Here, warm up. So this is like a phaser of some sort hitting them.
So they're basically powerless.
They can't move yet, and they're
Or is it
losing their orbit.
like a tractor beam? Or is it just something that putting the gravity is now pulling them down?
Yeah, I think since they can't use their impulse engines to adjust their orbit, and they can't warp to get out without dropping their shields, that the orbit is just naturally decaying. I mean, 12 hours, that would seem like, an eternity to have a decayed orbit. So, and here comes Vigo the Carpathian. Well, in Kirk's case, that, probably an STD he's brought down.
So this guy with the and here's a reference that the kids won't get. This guy here with the John Taylor haircut. Is this a visual representation of Landru, or is this actually Landru?
I think it's a holographic recreation of Landru.
Mm-hmm.
And he's hungry like the wolf.
Yes, he is.
His name was Rio.
His name was Landru, and he dances on the sand.
And he knocks.
Landru festival across the land. Yeah, I'm going to be doing this all night. Okay.
And he's only doing that because the Enterprise crew are wild boys, and he needs to.
See, I like how the whole ship full of scientists were under attack by some sort of heat beams. Should we be a little bit more specific than some sort of heat beams?
Where did I put my keys? Fuck, I lost my keys. So who is it that's been removed?
McCoy and a guard.
So everybody's getting headaches from trying to figure out what the plot is on this show.
He's talking about his contract right there, not the castle. And here they are talking it out.
actually trying to figure out what the answer is instead of it just coming to them like, I don't know, it's you watch stuff like this and you can actually see the way the writers move step by step instead of just doing action set piece, action set piece, action set piece with dialogue to get to action set piece in the middle.
So let's take a beat on the writers there for a second. This was an original story by Gene Roddenberry, who everyone knows my thoughts as far as a writer, not strong at all. It was rewritten by two other people with a story credit to Roddenberry, which means this is something that probably had a nugget of good idea in it and got bashed by too many cooks ruining the soup.
It's actually a good episode.
It is, but I think there's so much being thrown out and only a small amount is sticking to the wall.
Yeah, I didn't care for this episode. Maybe it's because it just went over my head. I don't know. I didn't care for it at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of thinking and dialogue in this episode that you have to follow pretty closely. And this is an episode where we have riots, multiple phaser fire, explosions, and we're still sitting here going, yeah, this was a bit cerebral.
Now, is this the first time? This kind of threw me off. Is this the first time that Kirk has just called him Doc? I mean, normally it's Bones or it's McCoy.
That's weird. It's one of the rare times he refers to him anything but Bones or McCoy. He will sometimes reference have Doc check you out, like something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just threw me off. I was like, what?
Unless he was trying to see how Bones would respond to that.
I guess that could be.
Yeah, now we get all churchy preachy. We all know each other through Landru.
Yeah, which is what I came across. Like, these folks were turned into, like, Landru's a cult leader.
You mean mindless automatons based on their worship of God?
Well, there you go again.
Mm-hmm. Now the pole people come back.
And this time they're angry.
Yeah.
Because they threaten, like, come with us or you're dead. And they're like, well, I guess they've adapted, kind of like the Borg.
Kirk's like, I have one of these in my room back on the ship.
Finally, I can get some rest.
Yeah. Where's the yeoman that comes with this thing? Yeoman not included. And this guy was good.
Yeah. This is Frank Barone.
Holy crap, it's your hour. Landru, sandwich.
Funyuns.
So now Spock is attempting a mind meld.
Which is a really good idea. I wasn't expecting that. And I was like, oh, what's going to happen? Does he mind meld and turn into one of them? But there was no connection there.
You know, he does acknowledge he's under extremely powerful control, but I don't think we needed a mind meld to tell us that. But good try, Spock. Good try. He looks like Dracula there. The black cape in his castle looking out into a stone wall. So, Count Spockula.
So the guys in the robes, they all look the same too, don't they?
Similar builds, similar body types. The faces are kept very much in the shadow. I almost wish they had done something to obscure the face completely.
Yeah. Now,
like they did so effectively in the black hole.
Right.
With the silver reflective masks.
Do you think they're chosen because of their size, or are they something special that's there's only a few of them?
My gut feeling is if Landru is controlling everything, including breeding and population, he is probably assigning people to certain tasks based on their natural abilities. So I would say that he probably identifies them early and gets them into training as quickly as possible.
And they're not robots.
No, I didn't take them as robot. No, because at the end, when Landry's will is broken, it's broken on them as well.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that. So they bring Spock in to the absorption chamber, and Kirk greets him.
Looks like Kirk is drinking the Kool-Aid. Spock with an oh shit look on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Jim's got one in his room just like this.
Yeah. Very comfortable.
Wow, he does look like the poor man's Peter Boyle.
So the first two friends are McCoy and what was his name? The other dude.
Lindstrom?
Yeah.
What was he
Right.
on his break? I was at lunch. I was on my lunch hour when they brought them in. I'm so sorry.
So he tells Spock that the captain is unharmed and unchanged, and Spock's like, "Oh, could you try again?"
We should change him a little. I mean, nobody's perfect, right?
Can you just turn it up to 5, maybe?
So this is the guy who is in the Resistance as well.
He's the third part of the three-way, and They're not Archons. That's what Spock's telling them. And that guy's name is Marplon.
I should have used that name.
You can always change it.
Marplon McD. Although I like the one I picked this week. You are the chosen one. You're the Cisco. We're about 50 years too early for that. So.
So, right. And that's the thing about the original series that I noticed is what are these, like 55, 57 minutes long?
I want to say 52, in and around there.
Because whenever an episode seems like it's about, you can have okay, this is the perfect place to end it. It keeps going because they have that time slot to fill. Whereas nowadays, being 42 minutes, you have to cram everything in there, and it feels like stuff is cut out.
I would tell you, honestly, having watched the originals unedited and obviously the syndicated versions that we grew up with, there are chunks that are removed that really don't impact the story at all. It's a show like this, and the way it was written, especially the first season, it really lends itself to being cut down for better pacing of the episode.
Hey, Marty, keep it down a little. Deb is taking a nap.
No,
I'm here.
Communing with the will of Landru.
Andrew, his arms wide.
And there's Spock with almost a grin on his face, like, I can't believe I'm getting away with this.
So now we're back in the cell, and so these two guys are under the influence, and Kirk and Spock aren't. So now they need to break away to formulate a plan without. Now, is he under the influence?
No, that's why.
Lindstrom's not.
Yeah, that's why when they were talking, you had that nice shot of McCoy in the background there, looking into the conversation, kind of showing you he's on the out while these three are on the in. So, yeah, he hasn't been taken yet to be converted.
So who was the other guy he was talking about? He's like, I haven't been able to save the other two.
O'Neill
and Lindstrom.
Okay.
So Spock is starting to get baby pieces of it stuck together here. And then, dun, dun, dun. There is no Landru.
Only Zool.
Is that two Ghostbuster references in one show?
I think so.
Landru must die. You just said there is no Landru, so who are we killing? And
So that was O'Neill on the bench, right? Next to...
Yeah, I think so.
Next to McCoy.
Yeah. And now we're handing out phasers and communicators, I think.
Yeah, these are the communication devices.
And now we see a flare of old McCoy. He's got that look in his eye. Someone's about to lose his shit. You're not of the body. You're not. You green-blooded hobgoblin.
Gets him with a right cross. And they're gonna pull a Luke and Han on the Death Star.
And these two guys lose their shit after being semi-heroic through the entire episode. Like, just implode. I guess, like, no atheist in a foxhole, right? Landru, help us! Come on.
So the ship is about to crash.
And this was the first time we see Scotty in command.
And he almost crashes the ship.
Well, he's no Deanna Troy, but yeah.
Or Riker.
So now these guys are afraid, I guess, of life without Landru. Is that?
Yeah, see, here we are. Yep. So here we are.
Short for a lawgiver.
Oh my God, they both look like they're out of The Handmaid's Tale in this shot. The way the hood. Wrong franchise.
And Kirk is the flying nun.
Landru speaks here. This is, so, you know, come on in, make yourselves comfortable.
Kirk removes his hood and says, "Hello there." Oh, he'll be all right.
These are not the Archons you're looking for. So luckily, that bricked up wall in front of them seems to be a clue.
Do not look behind this wall.
No powerful Oz.
I am John Taylor. Do not look here. Oh, good grief.
Meanwhile, Landru's trying to be as transparent as possible. Oh, well, you know. Guys, you can see right through him. You know he's not there, right? You just take one of the rods and go like this and be like, oh, yeah. Obliteration is necessary. Resistance is futile. And for some reason, when I was little and watched this episode, I thought Landru had no arms. I just kept him under that gold thing.
Yeah. Now we have to exercise. The memory of the body will be cleansed. And now they're just going to
blow it up.
Blow a hole in the wall.
I know he's your god and everything, but I've got to shoot him. So, yep, nice effect there. They must have had it set on super disintegrate because there was no smoke or anything. An IBM Series 2 answering machine.
So, as I'm watching this, I said to myself, you know, it would have been, I thought it would have been cooler if that wall wasn't actually there.
You just
And
walk through it.
that was also a hologram. And they when they fire their phasers, it does nothing. And then they walk up to it and
Would have cost them more. Another optical effect.
I guess.
And that time, that was a tough one to pull off, walking through a wall like that. It always looked like cheesy.
Right, when they're jumping through the what is it, the round, what was the round thing?
The Guardian of Forever.
Yeah.
Or as I like to call it, the Guardian of whatever.
So we go in and
at the end of Soul Train, peace, harmony, no soul.
we go in and they're gonna go and blow up Landru, but I guess the phasers just don't work.
So Landru is a pretty glitchy machine. Why didn't he just turn them off when they got down there? Why did he let him blow a hole in his wall? Why you would have turned them off when they were in the hallway? But so Landru is far from perfect.
Right. It's Landru is actually running on Windows ME.
Yeah. Paperclip keeps coming up. Nobody likes you. Get out of here. Are you sure?
Wonder if.
Are you sure you want to enslave the population? Oh, yes. Thank you.
I don't know if I don't remember if they said it in this episode, but I kind of wonder if he died before he finished
Fully
programming. Yeah.
Well, I think the problem is that there's a snake in that white panel. So you take that thing out, we may have this thing fixed.
Your statement is irrelevant.
You will be obliterated.
For that joke, you will be obliterated.
That's the key. It does the body good. Milk. No, Jim, but close. So with no weapons left, Kirk does the only thing he can do. He has to outthink the machine. He's got to point out how flawed the machine is to have the machine apparently gain a soul and decide it's got to self-destruct. Wow, was that the pot calling the kettle black there? You've defied your prime directive. I have to say, for a half second, I thought those were one of those dancing mops from Fantasia in the background when I watched this earlier today.
It does look like a mop, yeah.
So then we go into our humanity speech, telling the machine why everything it did was very, very naughty.
He blows it a kiss.
Yeah, these guys come in and are like, what? What? We're free? Yeah, so that's just the imprint of the original Landru.
So Landru is actually the guy with no arms.
The guy was chilly and just kept his hands under his gold lame.
It is underground, so.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. It is very cold under there.
But that is, that is Landru from 6,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And again, let's think about this. A machine that emulates the image of its creator. Almost like certain people are made in their creator's image, which is another theme that comes up again and again and again in a certain somebody's writings. You are the evil. Now, cue smoke effects. The snake says, I'm getting out of here. Something's going on. And pleads for its life. And that's about the end of it. Holy crap. And now they head towards the hole in the wall.
So do you think if they returned, this would be another con situation?
You know, this was actually one of the ones they considered for a follow-up when they were pitching ideas of what episodes could we follow up. And I know this was on the short list to see what had happened to that society. And I think the original thought was that they very quickly de-evolved into embracing the technology that was down there and became a huge threat to the Federation.
That would have been pretty neat.
Because let's face it, all that stuff is down there. And again, nature abhors a vacuum. So you had Landru controlling everything. You set everybody free. And again, think of the times that the movies were made, right? Communism ends, and yet a huge portion of that populace couldn't give up on it. They couldn't live without the communist system in effect. And that's kind of what they were toying with at the time.
So would this have been a season 3 or 4 episode, or a series 2 episode?
No, this was actually one of the contenders for Star Trek 2. They knew they wanted.
Really?
They knew they wanted the sequel to harken back to a previous episode, a tie-in. So they wanted to find strong candidates for possible villains who might be able to, make a comeback. I know there was some talk of Harry Mudd making a comeback at some point. So they knew that first movie, there really was no connection beyond the original crew to the show, and they felt that's what hurt it. So they wanted to bring back some sort of nostalgia element in to tie it back to the original show. And what an organization. Oh, he's free. Go back to work. Your chief medical officer is down on the planet. You may want to have him check him out before you certify him back for duty.
Now, you mentioned that this was one of the contenders and they were looking for stuff that they could dip into for another film. Do you think it's just a coincidence that the next episode is what became
that's
next film?
That's a good question, because
Are they watching them in order and said, "Oh, all right, stop here"?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, in one of the interviews I saw with Harv Bennett, he sat down and watched all the episodes from beginning to end to see what they could farm out of there. So I think they did watch everything. I think at the end they said we can't do a movie called The Return of the Archons. It's not going to fit on a marquee. Yeah.
The Return of the Wrath of the Archons.
Revenge of the Archons.
Revenge of the yeah.
But Archons aren't vengeful.
It's better than Star Trek 2. Remember Khan? Vaguely. Yeah.
So now we have today. This episode is Return of the Archons, and next week's episode is about Khan. And if he was a pirate, Khan. Archon. All right. That's enough of that. So, Deb, what are your thoughts on this episode?
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it.
No.
Too slow, too boring.
I don't know. Either that or I was just tired and it just went over my head. I don't know. I didn't care for it.
It insists upon you. I'll put it that way. If you're not, like I said, if you're not paying attention, you're like, wait, what's happening here? And like I said before, I think it's just a case of interesting concept, too many writers, and the execution, except for maybe the last 5 minutes, is kind of all over the place.
Right. You know, and if you're not of the body, you're just not interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or in my case, not of the brain.
Don't say that.
The brain just wasn't with it today.
Brain and brain. What is brain? My favorite all-time Star Trek quotes.
All right. Well, that does it for The Return of the Archons, episode 21. Next week, 22 and 31. You understand what that means?
Mm-hmm.
So catch up on your Star Trek, folks. We'll see you again next week. This is the Geek and I podcast. Thank you to everybody who's been part of the watching crowd. We finally hit monetization, which is, I've already made 29 cents. So I'm going down a deposit on a new car.
I was going to say, is that divided 3 ways? Did we lose him?
Yeah, he took his 29 cents and ran.
Wow.
Yeah, he just closed his hailing frequencies and got out of Dodge.
And we can't stop the show.
Oh, he'll be back to close it out. Do you think that pirate joke was a crack? No, I'm just kidding.
I thought it was funny. It was good.
Well, next week's will be a fun one.
Definitely in my top 5.
Oh, yeah.
Original series episodes.
100%. 100%. Hey, you take one guest shot on a TV show, and then 25 years later becomes one of the most iconic villains in screen history. And I got a lot to say about Ricardo Montalban because I think he was just a phenomenal actor and very underrated.
Yeah.
Did John get snow again?
Come back. Come back.
Well, I think we can punch out.
I mean, you could punch out, but I think it'll probably still be recording.
That would be a John problem.
Yeah, he can always just edit.
Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Can
Can you text him?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. May have to go to the old phone to do that. Let's see. Man, this is easier with two functioning eyes. There he is. Well, let's take a look. He's responding. Yes, he lost internet, so we will punch out for now.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Live long and prosper. Deb, have a great week.
You too.
All right, we'll regroup on next Friday, I guess.
Yep. I'll be here.
Be well.
Bye.